Bro, James, I got a bone to pick with you.
What's up?
What was up with all that weight that you got rid of on social media?
You sold a ton of stuff.
I was working out a lot. Hit the gym.
No, not that kind of weight.
What you talking about?
All those kicks.
Bruh. You saw that?
Yes. What was up with that?
It was only 75 pairs.
Sit.
All right.
This guy.
So, how many pairs do you think you have?
Yeah.
Here in Dallas.
Real talk.
Not counting your stuff in anywhere else.
I mean, I don't want to give a number out, but it's a lot.
Ballpark it.
500?
Here?
No.
Probably.
You have more than 500.
Unbelievable.
Probably. Roughly? 400 and 500 pairs?
I know people
what
that
about
know you.
grand total?
Oh, excessive. A lot. In the thousands.
You have storage
insane.
facilities.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. So, you spent how much do you think on shoes?
Dude, I mean, if you average it out, it's just a lot. Think about if I buy a pair or two a week, it's over $500 a week.
Ooh.
Let's call it a month. That's
Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of dollars on sneakers.
Totally.
So it brings up something interesting though. Where's the line between collecting and hoarding?
Yeah, it's a fine one.
There's a fine line. So I'm gonna read something to you. Systematically seeking and acquiring as a hobby,
Okay.
or a behavioral pattern characterized by excessive acquisition of and an inability or unwillingness to discard large quantities of objects that cover the living areas of the home and cause significant distress or
I'm
impairment.
already not that one because that one's way too long
that
for
it?
even me to be.
Okay,
See,
so
so let's get into that because it's very simple to go either way. It can be one or the other.
I don't know. I like to think I'm a collector. So
Same.
So here's what I
Of
do
a lot
for,
of shit.
for my collections, and we differ on this greatly.
Uh-huh.
So I live by a set of principles where I feel like excess is bad for your soul.
Okay.
It is. There is such thing as enough, right? And as a sneakerhead, it's really hard to determine what that line is
course.
because it's about getting the next pair, always getting the next pair. So what I do is yearly I take an inventory and I decide what have I worn this year, what didn't I wear, and I go from about between 150 to 200 pairs down to about 50 in January every year. I
then
sell
it goes
off,
right back up.
and then it goes back up to the end of the year, and then I get rid of it again. So my collection kind of does this. Yours just,
Well, no,
And it
because at the
doesn't
same time,
stop.
a lot of times I don't tell everybody when I get rid of stuff. I just kind of do it.
but you also don't tell people when you get stuff.
I
You
don't
kind of
tell-
hide it,
I just don't. I just get it.
like an addict.
Well, I mean, this is why we have to off the cut. Most people know what I get, but sure. I mean, it goes both ways. It's very simple because I mean, if you look at my sneaker room, it looks like a stock room at a Foot Locker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
cool with me because I do get pairs that sometimes I'll get something because I need it for a plug, right? I have somebody that I need to buy the pair from in order to get something I want down the line. At the same time, I just dumped 75 pairs. You know what I'm saying? And
You
it
dumped
takes time to get it.
75 pairs and it didn't make a dent.
It didn't make
It
a
didn't
dent.
make a
It
dent.
didn't make a dent.
It didn't make a
y'all.
dent.
But in his defense, James is very generous.
I
He's-
give shoes away. I do a lot of these things, but either way, I collect and I hoard.
I don't think that they're the same thing.
No, they're not, but they're very similar. I mean, look, a hoarder can't get rid of his stuff. I don't mind getting rid of my stuff.
Here's why I
like getting
think.
rid of it.
Here's why I think I can make the case that you're a hoarder, because you've got crap in your sneaker room that you don't even know you have it, because it's trash. Like it's just shit that's in there.
Yeah, no, I have stuff that I've acquired over a period of time, and like I've dumped them.
He's buried alive in shoes, y'all. Which part of it I respect because you are dedicated to the game.
Dedicated man.
You're married to the game, and I appreciate
Facts.
that.
Wow.
But on the other hand, you've got a family, you've got kids running around and stuff like that. What are you gonna do?
Ryan
when
has
you've
no
got?
shoes.
What are you gonna do when you've got?
Ryan has 100 pairs.
You have to sort of like model your sneaker habit around your life.
Not really,
You
because
know?
everything focuses around my room. It doesn't leave my room. So as long as it fits in my room, I'm okay with it.
What's
You know
the square
what I'm
footage of your room?
saying? Oh, fuck, I don't know.
I bet you that room's probably 400 square feet.
400 square feet.
Probably.
It's probably, and it takes up both walls, both sides of the walls, and then I have certain places.
There's so many shoes now. I can't.
Yeah,
So what's it like? Explain entering.
look, you know what it looks like, Dappa? It looks beautiful.
It is.
It's beautiful.
He has them displayed.
It
nice.
looks like a warehouse, like a wholesale warehouse or something, where someone's just like
It's
a
beautiful.
shoe store went out of business or
It's
something.
talented acquisitions of beautiful things. There are things in there that will make you
And it's
smile.
cool because you can go in there and almost find something new every time you look at it.
You
but,
can literally find something new every time you go in there.
but I think that you exhibit signs of a hoarder.
Of course I do. But find me a sneaker collector that doesn't have that same exact.
I don't.
Matt, you just said you go from 50 to 200 pairs of shoes. If that's not acquiring
But
based
I
on just
purge.
requiring, of course,
But
at
I
the end of the year.
purge.
But what do you do? You hoard until you purge.
does.
But
you
I also
hoard.
keep-
You're like
It's an accordion.
you're like a bulimic
Okay,
sneaker guy.
So let's talk about
You
this.
eat it a lot
So-
and then you purge
So
it.
some of you may relate to this, right? Some people may be sitting here and they may relate more to what I kind of do when it comes
Right.
to collecting. Some people may relate to the way that James collects.
Yeah.
But let us know which one you are, and then let's talk about this for a second. What's some methods, tried and true methods that people have tested to get rid of pairs, downsize your collection to what I'd say a healthy level? Because I think that you're out of hand.
Healthy.
You have to define what healthy is.
Keyword.
You know what I'm saying? You have to.
Here's how I define
Healthy
healthy.
to you
okay?
is different from what's healthy to me.
Here's how I define healthy. And this is my philosophy. And I
You've
want
got
you
a
to
problem.
give yours in a second, but my philosophy is that there's a core group of shoes that I will always keep and
Sure.
I'll never sell. And then I've got stuff kind of confetti around that I rotate around that. That
Totally.
stuff can go. My confetti pile is about 60 to 70 pairs. My
So-
core group's about 20 to 30 pairs.
My core group, there is no core group. It's whatever I'm feeling that day, and whatever shoe I decide. Based on how I'm feeling that day, what the story is, what I want to pull out, or if I want to go in there and make myself happy by finding some random pair that I haven't looked at in years, right? So it's basically for me, I pull out shoes based on whether I have doubles of them, because I have some that I've used to trade away or I get rid of in order to buy another shoe, because I try not to use the money that I earn for a living to buy my shoes. My sneakers fund themselves, right? You know what I'm saying? If I want another pair of shoes, I sell another pair of shoes. I use that money to go through to acquire more. If I sell a shoes for $1,000 and I can get 3 pairs that will eventually be $1,000, good for me. I was able to do that. Luckily, my habit funds itself. You know what I'm saying? Completely. But when I get rid of shoes, it's whether or not I care to ever go back and find that shoe in a way that I can afford. You see what I'm saying? So if I get rid of a shoe that is irrelevant to me, I'll let it go for $50.
What if you've
$100.
never worn it and you don't intend to?
Well, depends on it.
But it's still worth money. Would you?
Depends on it if I'm going to.
Well, I
if-
know the
if I
answer.
wanna
I'm not
have it.
asking questions. I know the answer.
I don't know. It depends. It's always based on
You've
what
got
the shoe is.
stuff that you don't want to part with, and you're not really sure why. You just
Well, no,
you
because
got
I
it,
like the shoe,
and you feel like you need it,
so
but you don't know why.
sentimental.
Sneakers
to
to
you.
me are they have stories behind them, how I acquired them, when I acquired, especially the older stuff, because that took time.
And that's the
that
collector
took
talking.
work. Okay,
That's the collector talking.
I had to travel out of state to find shoes that I wanted as a child because I really cared for them and I wanted to have them because I didn't have them when I was younger, not because I couldn't afford them, because I couldn't wear sneakers, because I had foot issues. So when I get shoes now, when I give a pair up, I don't want to pay $1,000 when I go back and get it. I don't want to pay $2,000 to get it back. So for me, imagine if this was the
So
same
for you,
thing.
it's more like an opportunity
Of
cost
course,
thing.
because if I let go of I want the Dunks because I don't want to wear them, that was 2000, 3 years ago. Now they're costing $20,000. I'm not paying that. I want that shoe because it's a part of my story. It's a part of my history. So it depends on the shoe and it depends on which ones. And some of it's just I just have too much shit.
Yeah.
Which
You
is why,
admit
and those are the times I have my moments where I'm like, I gotta get rid of shit. Which is why this video shows me getting rid of a ton of different stuff. And I acquire a bunch of stuff, and I feel fortunate enough because I've been in the shoes and in this culture for so long that I get presented with plenty of opportunities to buy things that are rare. And sometimes even those things I don't really care to keep, but I know that there's value to them, and I know that there is somebody who may want them, so I keep it. At the same time, I just want to keep a piece of it for myself.
So let's discuss a few methods to downsize a collection because it can get out of hand.
Totally.
It can get out of hand. It can overtake your room. I know that your girl's mad at you. I know that people think it's ridiculous, think you got a problem of some
Yeah,
kind.
facts.
Sometimes, and for a lot of people, it can become dangerous financially where they're buying shoes when they shouldn't. It becomes an addiction that can actually hurt your pocketbook.
Totally.
Or you're spending money irresponsibly, and it happens to people all the
It
time.
can be an addiction like any other addiction.
It can. If you're not wealthy enough, it can be harmful.
It can be
harmful.
Indeed.
So,
If you can't pay for your rent, don't buy the Jordans.
some people do it though. So
100%.
here's one method that I've used. So when I go through my sneakers, I'll look at everything and I'll say, okay, have I worn this in the last year? And I think about it and I'll say, yeah, I wore it once. And then I'll ask myself, I have to get honest with myself, will I wear it again?
Yeah.
If I look at it and the answer is not absolutely, then I set it aside. I just set it aside. Even if it's a cool pair, even if it's something that I love, even if it's sentimental,
Right.
I set it aside. And for me, it's kind of a release and it helps me detach from because let's be real, what we do here, off the cut, the sneaker everything, it's a very materialistic, selfish world.
100%.
What we do.
100%.
But we love it because we love the stories behind the shoes. We love the
100%.
companionship and the camaraderie
Story.
of it. But it can make you sick. It can make you
course
sick.
it
So look at a pair, try this. Look at a pair and say, has it served its purpose?
Right.
And that's one thing that I try. What are some of the things that you did to get rid of yours collection?
You know, for one, I had to organize it. I have to get organized, and because you know, eventually after acquiring so many things, you just start putting things everywhere. So I had to go to organize, and then I had to look back, like which shoes do I actually care to keep? Which one of these actually means something to me? Because sometimes, you know, I was able to get a pair of, you know, Rookie of the Year ones that sure were nice, and I wore them with a fit. After a while, I don't want to keep this shoe. It's not really irrelevant to me, you know, and I push it out of the way. Or I find, you know, so for me, it's very based on what the story behind the shoe and how I acquired it.
So it's more of a sentimental process
So
with you.
yeah, if it's a shoe that is irrelevant to me and it means nothing to me and it doesn't have some sort of significance, it goes. Right. Or if it's used its purpose, if I've actually worn it, I've gotten the joy that I knew I was gonna get out of it, and it can go to somebody else that I know that would really want it, gotta go. Or even if I question it, if I question why I have it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the Tinker 3s, for example. Cool shoe, I thought it'd be a great idea to have because it was Tinker's 3, but when I look at it, this is not a shoe that I care to have.
I kept that shoe, you know why? Because it was in our title sequence for the first season of Off the Cut. So for me, it's a sentimental thing.
I never wore them, and I have plenty of 3s that I care more for.
And it's sentimental, yeah.
So I got rid of it. Yeah, because to me it doesn't mean the same thing.
I got you. So for some, it's a sentimental process. For some, like me, I have to keep it very logical and just say, if I haven't worn it, it's got to go.
Sure.
And that's kind of different than collectors. And I know there's a lot of people, when they have Instagram, you buy a pair literally to flex once and then you sell it again.
One time, gotta go.
Yeah, so keep your habit healthy. That's what we're getting at here.
100%. Be
Whatever
careful
that means
with it.
for you.
It's very easy to get carried away.
It is.
It's very easy to carry away. Luckily, most people, I've been collecting for years, since the 90s. So of course I've acquired a lot of things. There's a lot of people that are young and new in the game and they try to rush to get everything. Yeah. And that's gonna be a problem, you know, because then you feel like you're missing out. I didn't acquire all these shoes overnight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And neither should you. Take your time, build your collection the way you want it. And if you do end up with a bunch of shit, just make sure that you actually care to have it.
So for me, it's quality over quantity. For you, it's quality and quantity.
It's quality, quantity. Call me if you need something.
Yeah. So if you have any suggestions for downsizing your collection, drop it down below. Let us know. Curious to see what you guys are at.
I want to see how many. Let us know how many pairs you have.
Yeah, how many pairs you got?
I want to know how many pairs the normal people have.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious.
Because you said 200 shoes like that was easy.
Hey, we're here though. This is what we do.
The average person buys one shoe a month, one shoe every couple of months.
My dad buys a shoe like every year.
If you bought one every month, that's 12 shoes a year. Somehow you ended up with 200, and so did I.
It is kind of sick when you think about it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.